This is Dr. Kavita Singh, Associate Professor in Institute of Aeronautical Engineering and in Department of Civil Engineering. So today our topic will be for discussion is converging evidence. So in the previous lecture we have just discussed about visual interpretation techniques, how a interpreter can interpret an image and get the useful information out of it. And further, after getting the useful information, how can they convert it into output? So how to read an image, how to identify the object from the image, that all we have discussed in the previous lecture. So in this lecture, converging evidence, it is also related to the visual interpretation. So it's like evidence about different types of evidence. If we keep together, then we can just come to a conclusion, come to an output of that particular interpretation, that what kind of feature it could be in that particular area. So let us start this topic today. So before that, let us go through the contents what we are going to discuss today. So under this concept of converging evidence, we are going to cover topography, drainage pattern texture, drainage density, erosion, image tone, vegetation, land use, land cover. So these are all topics which is going to cover under this converging evidence. So let us understand what is converging evidence. Converging evidence, so it's like a information about the terrain and it is derived from the visual interpretation of aerial or space image through the identification, evaluation and analysis of all the key elements. So this image interpretation process is like the work of a detective trying to put all the pieces of evidence together to solve a mystery. So converging evidence, it's like a detective, how a detective does. So suppose there is a mystery over here or there is an image over here. If this image to be solved, it means what kind of information to be derived from this particular image. So how does a interpreter or how does a detective will just try to put on all the evidence together and come to a conclusion. Like that only a detective, how he works, at the same way the interpreter will also work to find out the final output of the image. So here suppose we have many features here, like we have let us say water body, we have forest area, we have road here, we have river here and lot of vegetation over here. So all of the features if you want to identify, so what a detective will do, just detective will try to or interpreter will try to identify separately this all together and just keep it in a single image to get a output of that particular image. So to solve a mystery, different types of pieces of evidence they are going to identify and just put together to get the output of that particular image or get the information of that particular image. So information derived through the analysis of the above key terrain elements can converge, and by combining all the evidences of the image element identification, the inference can be drawn. So the inference will be useful for GIS data input, manipulation and analysis. So these all data, if we come to a interpreter will just come to a conclusion or they will identify all the evidences and they'll put in a single image, then they'll come to a conclusion and they can just go with this GIS manipulation and they can input in GIS and just go with this manipulation and analysis of that particular terrain, right? So converging evidence, it's like the process of converging the description of all the interpreted results or informations of key elements is called convergence or evidence. What is a convergence or evidence? It is like description of interpreted results or informations of these key elements when they interpreted, and of these elements is called convergence evidence. So converging evidence refers to the process by which multiple sources or types of evidence, often from different methodologies or perspectives, support the same conclusion or hypothesis. So it's like solving a puzzle where each piece adds to a overall picture reinforcing the validity or reliability of the foundings. So what is a puzzle? So suppose there is a map of India, right? So in a map of India, if we divide this total map into some 5 to 6 parts, and we separate these parts, one part is here, one part is here, one part is here. So it's like a jigsaw puzzle. If you just take this piece of this part and just fit into this image, then you will finally get to know that this is a India map, right? Like that only, if you pieces of evidences, if they keep on together, they keep it together, then we'll come to a conclusion that this kind of images present over here, or this kind of feature which is present in this terrain. So it's like a solving a puzzle. The puzzle is solved by the interpreter. So that is called as converging evidence, right? So this approach is fundamental in various fields including science, psychology, criminal investigations, historical research, as it helps build robust and credible conclusions. So concept of converging evidence in this in image interpretation, converging evidence refers to use of multiple types of information or analysis techniques to arrive at more comprehensive understanding of the image. So this can be include, I mean this will include to more understand. How do we more understand? If you want to just find out the converging evidence, or what are the types of information or analysis and which you are going to find out. So this will include visual analysis, contextual analysis, metadata analysis, comparative analysis, and here we have quantitative analysis, expert options. So these are all different things will be included when we are talking about converging evidence. So let us understand one by one what is visual analysis. So visual analysis is initial interpretation. So visually, once you see the image and just try to find out some different clues, is called as visual analysis, like initial interpretation of the image based on visual clues such as shapes, colors, texture and patterns. So based on the shape, color and textures, we are able to just find out the initially we are able to just identify the type of the feature. And the contextual information, gathering information about the environment or context in which the image was captured, so which can provide additional insights into its meaning. So that is called as contextual information, like gathering information about the environment or the context. Textual information we can just find out in this context. Then metadata analysis, examining the metadata associated with the image, such as the time and location of capture, camera settings and any embedded information to glean further details, is called as metadata. Metadata is about data. So we are just trying to find out which kind of data it is, and about that data we are going to find out the data, is called as metadata analysis, right? So in metadata we'll come to know that camera settings, what are the information we are going to get to know, what are the location we are going to capture, which type of image we are going to capture, that all data we are going to get in the metadata. Now comparative analysis is comparing the image with other similar images or references to identify similarities or differences that may add in interpretation. Next, to come to quantitative analysis. What is quantitative analysis? Employing quantitative techniques such as image processing, computer vision algorithms, or measurements to extract numerical data from the image, so which can provide information to a complement or a visual interpretation. Next, we have expert opinion. So taking the opinion of the experts of the relevant fields, like we do, for example, we do forensic analysis, geological survey, we do medical imaging, we do to provide the specialized insights or confirm findings. So by integrating these different sources of evidences, image interpreters can develop a more nuanced understanding of content and context of an image, leading to the more accurate and reliable conclusions. So this multidisciplinary approach is particularly valuable in fields such as remote sensing, medical imaging, satellite imagery analysis, forensic investigations and all. Let us go through this flow chart, what is exactly the converging evidence is. So to get these all informations, For example, I want to know the land use land cover map, right? This information I want to know. So what a interpreter will do, they will just put this all evidence. So this is evidence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So total 7 evidences he will put together, and finally it will converge it in a single way, and then finally get to know this all information. The same way land use land cover, hydrogeomorphology map, geological soils, environmental information, transportation network, water resource, urban and regional planning, forestry, wetland and wasteland mapping. So those all information, if we want to know, we have to just find out this all evidences, and we have to put them together as converging evidence, and finally the output will be this all, right? So what are the evidences our interpreter will put? First of all, topography, like what type of topography, drainage pattern, texture, drainage density, erosion, image tone, vegetation, land use, land cover. These all information, these all evidences they will put together to get to know about the converging evidence. So let us know one by one what are these informations. So what is topography? So topography, if interpreter wants to put the evidence as a topography, so topography refers to the physical features of the surface of the earth or another celestial body, including the elevations, terrains, distribution of natural and artificial features such as mountains, valleys, plains, rivers, human-made structures. If you combine this all together, is called as topography. So it provides a detailed description of the shape, its characteristics, land surface, and often depicted on the maps through the contour lines, shading or digital elevation models. So topography plays a crucial role in the various fields like geography and cartography. So what is the geography and cartography? So geography is the all the physical information about the earth's surface is called as geography. Geo means earth, and it gives the information about the earth is called the geography. Cartography means preparation of the map of that real feature, real earth surface. When you prepare a map of that particular feature, then it comes under cartography. So topographical maps, essential tools for understanding the navigation's landscape. They provide detailed information about elevation changes, landforms, features, aiding in activities such as urban planning, environmental management, and exploration. So these all comes under topography, including geology. What is geology? So geology is a study of Earth's surface about the rocks and the minerals. So topographical maps helps the geologist to study the Earth's surface and understand geological process such as erosion. So if you know about the type of the rock, type of the soil, type of the mineral present over there, then we can just identify the geological formations. We can find out the fault lines or other features relevant to the geological research and resource explorations, right? Next, engineering. So engineers use topographic maps to plan and design the infrastructure projects such as roads, bridges, buildings. So topography is very much helpful to the engineers. If they know about the topography, then they can go further for the designing the infrastructure of any area or a city or a location. Understanding the terrain crucial, and determining the best routes, locations, and construction projects, assessing factors like drainage and stability. Next, environmental science. Topography influences weather patterns, hydrology, ecosystems, studies topographic features, helps scientists to understand how landscapes shape environmental process and how they are affected by the factors such as climate change and the human activities. We have some more in topography like military and defense. So how does the topography helpful in military and defense? So topographic information is vital for military planning, navigation, tactical operations, military organizations and all, right? Astronomy. So in astronomy, topography is not limited to the Earth. It also applies to other celestial bodies such as planets, moons, asteroids. Understanding the topography of these bodies is essential to space exploration, mission, landsat and selection, and scientific research. Okay. Drainage pattern texture. Next is drainage pattern texture. So what is drainage pattern texture? What is a drainage? So it's like the way in the water flows to a direction is called drainage, right? So drainage pattern refers to a layout of formed of streams, rivers, other waterways in a particular area. So the texture of a drainage pattern describes its overall appearance, which can vary based on the such as geology, topography, and climate. So always the drainage pattern varies based on the geology and the topography. So this is linked directly to the topography. So how the topography will be based on that, how the geology will be based on that, the drainage pattern textures will be taking place. So we have different types of drainage pattern here, like dendritic pattern. So this is the most common drainage pattern, categorized tree-like network of streams. I can just show you the image here. So this is like tree-like image. It looks like this. So this kind of drainage pattern is called as dendrite. Okay. Next we have terrace pattern. So in this pattern, the main rivers and streams flow parallel to each other with similar tributaries joining them right angles, and the texture resembles the terrace and grid-like structures. Okay, so terrace I'll show you. So this is how the terrace looks like. This is the main river, and these are all tributaries of it which are going and joining into the main river. Okay, this is a terrace pattern. So this all depends on the topography, how the topography is available over there, right? Next, just let us see about rectangular pattern. So this will be in a rectangular way. This pattern occurs in a region which highly jointed or fractured bedrock, where streams flow along the joints, creating a network of straight channels, right angle bends. The texture appears. So based on the topography, based on the drainage pattern also, detective or interpreter can judge which type of topography it is, right? So based on the topography, the texture of the drainage will be changing, right? So this texture appears series in straight lines intersecting the right angles. So I'll show you how this look like. So rectangular here, rectangular, it's like this. Okay. Next we have radial pattern. So radial drainage pattern from where when streams flow outward. So from here they will flow outward like this. Okay, so that is called, from a center it will flow outward. It's called as radial. That such as like volcano or dome-shaped mountain. The texture resembles spokes on a wheel and radiating outward in the direction from a center point. So this is how the radial will look like. So diverting outside. Now parallel pattern in areas with steep slopes or uniform rock types. Streams may flow parallel to each other. The texture appears as a multiple straight channels running parallel to each other. Is called as parallel pattern. And next you have annular pattern. So this pattern occurs in dome-shaped regions where streams follow concentric circles around a central high point. So the texture resembles concentric rings or circles. Deranged pattern. Deranged pattern lacks a coherent structure and occurs in the region which is recently affected by the glaciations, tectonic activity, intense erosion. The texture appears chaotic with streams following the multiple directions with a clear pattern. So here I'll show you. We have this subdendritic pattern. This is a parallel pattern. Parallelly it flows. And we have sub-parallel pattern here, annular pattern here, like this. Okay, rectangular I showed you, and pinnate pattern we have a stream here, and the drainage will be like this. We have this different types of drainage pattern textures. Based on this drainage pattern texture, the topography will be decided. Okay, what type of topography will be? It will be decided. Now here one more. It's a example here showing the drainage pattern techniques. So this is the main stream we can see. So it's like a tree-like structure you can see here. So tree-like structure like dendritic pattern we have seen in the previous slide. So many streams are coming and joining into the main stream. This is an example of dendritic. Now what is drainage density? Third thing is drainage density. So now we came to know about the topography, we came to know about the drainage texture, now drainage density. So what is drainage density? Drainage density refers to the total length of all channels, streams or rivers in a drainage basin divided by total area of the basin. So it's a fundamental metric used for the hydrology, geomorphology to quantify the extent of stream networks in the given area. So high drainage density typically indicates a more dissected landscape, numerous channels, while low drainage density suggests more subdued terrain with fewer longer channels. So it's an important parameter in understanding the various aspects of watershed, right? So it is very drainage density is always helpful in understanding the watershed behavior, such as flood potential and erosion rates and sediment transport and all. We can just understand with the drainage density. Now coming to erosion, the fourth one is erosion. So erosion, what is erosion? Erosion is a process by which soil and rock is removed from the earth's surface. So when the top layer of the earth's surface like soil or rock is removed, is called as erosion. Natural process such as wind, water flow, ice movement and gravity. It's natural geological process that can occur over long periods of time and shapes the landscape and landforms. So basically due to erosion, the landscape and the landforms are also changes. So the erosion can cause by the various factors, including what are the factors which includes in the erosion is water erosion, wind erosion, glacier, gravity erosion. Okay, so what is water erosion? So this includes the process like sheet erosion or the removal of the thin layers or soils, or gully erosion and erosion by the rivers and streams comes under water erosion. Wind erosion is wind can pick up the transport and loose particles of the soil and other materials, leading to the formation of features like sand dunes and the gradual removal of the soil and exposed surfaces. Glacial erosion is glaciers such as can erode the landscape as they move, scraping and plucking rocks, soil and carving out valley and the other landforms. Gravity erosion, this includes the process like mass wasting where material moves down slow under the influence of gravity. Like a huge mass of material will be moving up or down. So this is called as mass wasting, resulting in the phenomena of landslides. So landslides happen due to this mass erosion or gravity erosion only. Next, coming to the image tone. So image tone is typically refers to the overall mood or atmosphere conveyed by an image. It encompasses the elements such as color, scheme, contrast, brightness, saturations, which collectively influence the emotional response of the interpretation of the image. For example, an image with warm tones such as red, orange and yellows may evoke feelings of warmth, comfort and nostalgia, while an image with cool tones such as blues and greens may convey the sense of calmness, serenity and melancholy. Okay, so this is how, based on this type of the tone of the image, we can just identify whether features are of warm kind of features or cool kind of features. This tone of image can be adjusted during the editing process and achieve desired effect and enhance the visual storytelling, right? So different tones can be used to evoke the different emotions and convey different narrative depending on the context. Now vegetation, what is a vegetation? Vegetation refers to the plant life that covers a particular area ranging from small grasses and shrubs to a large trees and forests. It includes all types of plant species, both native and introduced, as well as their collective structure, distribution and ecological interactions within a ecosystem. So vegetation plays a crucial role maintaining the ecological balance and providing various ecosystem services including oxygen production, carbon sequestration. So vegetation is very much helpful in production of the oxygen and reducing the carbon. It will absorb the carbon dioxide and it will give us oxygen. So vegetation means wherever the cover will be there, vegetation cover will be there, large trees will be there, large forest will be there. The structure of that area and the texture of that area will be somewhat rough textures, so easily it can be identified from the image, and it plays a very crucial role in maintaining the ecological balance. So it produces oxygen and it absorbs the carbon dioxide too, and it gives us the habitat and biodiversity. Soil protection it will do. So habitat and biodiversity means vegetation provides habitats or wide range of organisms including animals, insects, microorganisms. And soil protection means plants would help bind soil particles together, preventing erosion and maintaining soil stability. Vegetation or contributes the organic matter, soil, and enriching its fertility too. So now water regulation, vegetation will also helps in the regulation of the water. So vegetation helps to regulate the water cycle, absorbing the transpiring water, reducing runoff and soil erosion, maintaining groundwater levels. So wherever the vegetation will be available, that areas the soil erosion will be less. If the soil erosion will be less, the soil texture will be somewhat rough texture, and the vegetation cover will be more. So based on that vegetation cover, even the drainage pattern can be identified from the terrain. Okay. Now next we have land use land cover. What is land use land cover? So land use land cover means the land which is utilized by the human resource is called land use. Land cover is which is naturally covered is called as land cover. So land use land cover are two related but distinct concepts used in geography, environmental science, urban planning to describe the utilization and physical characteristics of the earth surface. So land use refers to the human activities, purposes for which land is utilized. It categorizes how land is employed, such as residential, commercial, industrial, agriculture, recreational, and conservation purposes. So land use can vary spatially, temporally, reflecting changes in the societal needs, economic activities, environmental considerations. Land use pattern have significant implications for urban development, natural resource management, and environmental sustainability too. Okay, so and land cover is like the cover which is describes the physical characteristics of the earth surface, including natural, artificial features such as forest, grasslands, water bodies, urban areas, bare soil, agricultural fields. It provides information about the types of distribution of surface features without necessarily indicating how they are being utilized. Land cover is often classified into broad categories based on spectral signatures derived from the remote sensing data such as satellite imagery or aerial photographs. So this is about the land use land cover. So I hope you understood what is converging evidence. So these are all the evidences we were just discussing now. So evidences means different types of evidence, like find out the drainage pattern, find out the topography, find out the land use land cover, vegetation, soil, erosion. These all if you include and just you converge it, if you put together to get a final output of that area, then the pieces of the evidence, if you put together, the final output will be given out, is called as converging evidence. So it's like a detective who is working always to find out the piece of evidences and put it together and give a beneficial information or image readable format so that the interpreter or a normal person can just identify the type of features which are present on the terrain. So this is how the converging evidence will work out, and it is very much helpful in the remote sensing process, aerial photogrammetry, and even in defense purposes in the forestry and all. It is very much helpful to get to know the entire information of the resources. Okay, so these are the references you can just go through, like remote sensing, GIS, BS publications, New Delhi. This book is like commonly it can be used for all the topics which can cover about this course, and just you can go through and find out the more content about it. And you have some links, references links, which you can just click on the link and just go through the online references and find out more information about this topic. So that's all for today. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.